to another episode of Are You Not Entertained? That is the question. But I mean, I'm entertained. Ollie, are you entertained?
I'm entertained.
Peter, are you feeling entertained?
I'm bloody entertained, mate.
Ollie, have you ever entered Kane?
I'd like to.
He deserves it. He deserves to be treated and greeted and absolutely given the best time. Because what performance? Obviously, we normally do it, or we try to do it just after the game, but this time we're doing it on International Women's Day. So, well done, ladies. It's your day. The rest of the days are ours.
It's your day.
Every other day is for us.
Didn't even give them the full 24 hours.
You can have this
their day with...
You can have this one. We've only realised right at the end, so really you can have the evening. I don't know, but you know, it's for you. Take it for granted. Take advantage of it. But yeah, we watched, obviously, Spurs won last night, boys. It was tragic. I think, Ollie, you put out a tweet waiting for it to come around. So, like, 7:15 is a horrible kickoff time. On the like working day, obviously no problem because you're distracted. But on the weekend, you just wait. Especially at the moment, you've got nothing to do, just waiting for the game. But we won. We won 4-1. I thought the second half was as good a performance as I've seen for a long, long time. Steeped in nostalgia as well, because A-bale playing well just makes me so happy. Obviously Kane was the main man. We'll go into them in a bit, but I thought we'd actually open proceedings, chaps, and people might not be happy about it. We may lose some viewers, but I thought we'd open it by giving one negative each, because I think there's always a little one in there. One negative each, and then we'll just go into the praise. We'll talk about Bale, we'll talk about Kane, and we'll talk about all the positives from the game. So let's go into it. I'm going to go to Peter first because I think it'll be more natural. Just one, please, Peter. Just one negative, please.
I still don't think we should be playing a 4-4, whatever we're playing. 3.
Playing that. We don't play a 4-4-2.
4-4-3.
No. We play a 4-2-3-1.
A 4-2-3-1. I don't think we should be playing with 2 in the middle still. I don't think Moore is the answer in the 10. And annoyingly, because he got loads of praise off the back of the game. I also, actually, no, I'd like to change my negative.
Peter, we said 1.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Too late.
Fair enough.
Ollie, no, we'll come back to you. Ollie, what's your negative?
I would probably say I don't think Lucas Moura works as a number 10.
Oh, see, we're not gonna debate our negatives. We're gonna go into the game, but I actually think, despite the fact that Lucas can be a bit of a tragedy watching him on the pitch, and sometimes he's falling over and passes aren't quite right, and he does make mistakes. For example, that led to the goal, not solely his fault, but his pressing set the tone. He worked so hard. He covered so much ground. There's something to be said for him being in the number 10, but I do agree he's not the perfect fit in the long-term answer. But at the moment, I think he's a good fit. My negative thing that I'll point out from the game, I know a lot of people have been praising Sanchez quite a lot, but I thought for the goal, he was all at sea. And you got to see it very quickly, but Toby picks up the ball immediately after it's been put in the net. He turns around and he points to where he wanted Sanchez to be. The gap was huge. I know a lot of people giving Toby flack for not getting out with Benteke, but he's there with him. Sanchez should have been inside. He was with no one. There was no point of him being where he was. So that was my one negative. Although I would say he's been playing better. He, to me, is the same as Moura in that case of he's not the long-term answer, and we can't put stock in him. I just don't think he's ever going to be a great centre-back, in my opinion. Peter, do you want to give us your second negative?
It wasn't my second. I just wanted to change. I found...
Maybe change and be a bit more positive.
Okay. I think it was great. I think everyone was great. That's what I think. That's my change of negative. If anything, I'm too happy.
That's such a negative for you.
Yeah, I was going to say a bit... I find Højbjerg's clumsiness a little bit frustrating.
That's what I thought you was going to go for. That's exactly what I thought, because you was moaning about it during the game. So give us an example.
He just runs into people. No, he just seems to be. Don't get me wrong, he's been fantastic since we've signed him, but there's just a few times where he just. I don't know if it's like a little bit too eager to win the ball back, where he could, rather than press as firm to people, he could just give them a yard, because he can get skipped past easily sometimes by being too eager to press. And then he ends up looking a little bit sluggish and a bit clumsy. And also he played a FIFA pass where he went, I can play this through ball, and just didn't have it in his locker at all. But yeah, don't get me wrong, he is fantastic, but he just at times is a little bit too reckless in getting to the ball, I think.
Yeah, and I do agree. A couple of times he tried to play like really straight through balls that were just impossible. Moura tried to do a couple of them as well. And you just think, if you played within your limits, I know he done that one fantastic through ball for Aurier early on in the season, didn't he, against United?
Did another one for Kane, to be fair to him, against West Brom.
He has done a couple, but I just think he doesn't. It's not his game. I know he's done a couple. I think that's the exception to the rule instead of the rule itself. So I think if he just went into his lane and said, look, this is my role. I'm fantastic at everything I do, combative centre mid, but then I give it off to the more creative players.
It reminds me of, don't get me wrong, he's much better, but Wilson Palacios. Do you remember we used to say Wilson Palacios would love defending so much? That's why I used to give the ball away for fun, so we could do more defending.
Just give it away to do it again. Yeah, no, love Wilson. But all right then. So let's get away from that. That was negative. Throw it away. Very quick. We just wanted to say it. Peter wanted to give 2 because it's in his nature. But that's
not anymore. I've changed.
So but let's go. It was all about Kane and A-bale.
No.
From the Bible. Kane and A-bale. Did you get it?
Move on.
Kane and A-bale. Kane and
Bale.
You don't get it. We'll go through. But those boys are special. Obviously, we got the 4. We scored 4. If we went through the goals very quickly, and then we'll go on to the individuals and talk about them. But first one, fantastic pressing from Moura. Kane puts it across. Bale taps it in. I really like, by the way, that Bale scored a couple of poaching goals, and we'll go on to later on talk a little bit about Souness's comments, which were a bit mad at the end of the game, because I think that actually made him look a bit stupid by the way Bale has adapted his game, etc. But yes, about that, he also got the headed one where Kane put it back across. Kane being ridiculous in this game. 2 assists, 2 goals. His first goal was so satisfying. I think as we go
call it a screamer.
We can call it a screamer. But these are the noises we made. They weren't quite screams. So I did. Oh, Ollie, what did you do? And Peter?
I was very composed. I said, "Oh, that is so good."
Yeah, it's a bit.
And then I did this thing.
There's an extra bit, Peter, you forgot.
Yeah, this bit.
Very cool, very cool. And then I'm almost forgetting now. Kane's last goal was
Son cross.
Lamella clips it to Sonny.
Really good goal. Yeah,
lovely move, absolutely lovely move. And with that, Sonny and Kane become the record holders for setting each other up most times in the Prem, beating Sutton and Shearer, which I think they said on Match of the Day, Shearer's not too bothered, he's got other records, but for Sutton,
yeah,
it's gone, it's game over. That's all he had. So it's a bit upsetting for him. But let's talk about. I'll leave it to you boys. You want to talk about Kane first or Bale first?
Just on Kane and Son, just before we do quickly move on.
To
talk about Kane, obviously. The Spurs official Twitter page put up like the sort of the map of where the assists came from for the 2 of them. And all of Son's are kind of just balls across. And Kane's are just unbelievable. Everyone.
Everywhere, aren't they? Yeah.
Just all over the pitch. Like, he's an incredible player. Had an interesting debate with a couple of my friends last night about obviously Kane potentially being player of the year. And they disagreed on the most part. Well, my one friend's a United fan, one's a Leeds fan, and then myself, with only 3 kind of actively discussing.
Those are all my friends.
Yeah, that's it. And I moved on. But they're only 3 discussing it. And I have plenty of friends, Jerry. Okay. and yeah, we were just chatting about, honestly, like Fernandes gets so much praise for his goals, and I said to you boys, he's scored 8 penalties. Like, that is incredible. I'm not sure we've even had 8 penalties, but yeah, Harry Kane's a world-class striker. Please don't ever leave, and please win Player of the Year. Thank you.
Let's talk about that, Ollie, because why do we think that Kane isn't put in the contention as much as surely he should be? Because I think I was looking at it the other day, and is he not? Is he the joint top scorer with Salah in the league, or 1 goal behind him?
Goal behind.
So if you just look at stats immediately, you think, well, surely he's in the discussion because he's leading both. And I also saw something interesting. I think someone put a tweet out, and they were like, "It's mental that really, if you look at it, Kane could win the Golden Boot. He could be the assist leader at the end of the season, and he could potentially win goal of the season with the goal he just put in last night. On top of that, if he was doing assist of the season, he's probably going to get it from the one against Southampton when he does that reverse cross to Sonny, an impossible pass. So why isn't he in the discussion, Pete? Why do you think he's not being talked about? Because at the moment, it's people saying Gundogan or Bruno Fernandes, aren't they? Those are the ones I keep hearing.
And Ruben Diaz.
That's mental. I genuinely don't know. I haven't got an answer for you, Jerry. I don't understand it. I don't know if it's like, is it because he's English?
His name's Harry Kane.
He plays for us.
Do you think that's though, Ollie? Do you think that's a thing of like?
I think so. I saw another interesting one on Twitter. I think it was Goal or ESPN, one of the two. We're putting up stats about Haaland and how quickly he scored his 100 goals in like 160 games, something like that. They put up Haaland, Lewandowski, Messi, Ronaldo, and all these people, but not Kane, even though Kane did it quicker than all of them.
Yeah, because they didn't want. That's why, because they wanted to make it look how they're like, look how well Haaland's done it again. I think it was 146 he's done it in.
Yeah.
Kane did it in 141,
but
and it was like,
yeah,
you don't want to put him in because you don't want to. It doesn't look as good, but I don't understand it.
I think he's not the most super attractive of people. He has a bit of a strange speech kind of thing. He's not kind of the picture of like the media darling, is he? I think that's a big part of it as well.
I don't know, man. Bruno Fernandes is ugly, and he talks like Kermit the Frog. So
he's foreign.
Well, let's not talk people down, Peter. Let's talk people up. Despite Bruno Fernandes looking like a rodent, what a footballer he is.
Yeah, he's such a rat, though, man.
I think it also doesn't help that we're like 6th or 7th in the league, where they're 2nd. That doesn't help.
Yeah, that's really a big thing. And as these often do, the awards are not to players. They used to be, but now they're to teams. So in terms of what the Ballon d'Or, you see it every season. Whoever wins the Champions League wins the Ballon d'Or. Even though so often, but this player was incredible all year. He got to the final and his team didn't win. So how did he not win the Ballon d'Or? And that's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
It is nice to see centre-backs getting mentioned now and then, though. Like before Van Dijk won it last year, I couldn't tell you the last time a centre-half won the Player of the Year, to be honest.
And Diaz, to be fair, I agree with you because he's come in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
You can't be winning it. It's stupid when they vote it anyway. That makes it even worse for Diaz because he's barely been here and they voted too soon, not before the end of the season.
They came at the start.
And Gundogan, to be fair, who has been fantastic, but only over the last sort of 2-3 months. Like he was quite quiet before then.
It's like in boxing, isn't it? They say like throw all your punches in the last like 10 seconds of the round. Because that's when they remember and they give the points for it. And that's what it feels like when they're voting for this, like not remembering what happened before. And for me, and maybe we are very biased. I mean, the show's called Are You Not Into Kane? I would have it as Kane or Bruno Fernandes as the two. And I think I'd probably vote for Kane, but I'd be tempted by Fernandes by the fact that, it adds that they're higher up. And also that it's his first season in the league. And how well has he done? Immediately. So I don't know how much.
When didn't they get him in January last year? So he's had like half a season.
Yeah, and then
plus this season. But I hate him. I find him really ratty on the pitch, and I guess it's just a winning mentality. But he's been fantastic for him. You can't argue with him being up there.
He has a proper winning mentality,
and he's completely transformed that club as well. Like almost single-handedly turned them around. Like really driven them on. Luke Shaw, by the way, should get a mention because whilst we're talking about Man United players, he's been phenomenal this year.
I think he'll probably win their fans player of the year.
Do you think?
Yeah. I think him or Bruno, but Luke Shaw's definitely in the hat. And I've seen him at the Euros. I would think he'll probably be starting for England. But let's come away from these other teams.
Sorry.
I was going to say with Kane as well. I think everyone's a bit numb to how good Harry Kane is.
I agree. And that's a big thing. Like, how often should he probably have won Player of the Year from our fans?
Yeah, but I also think his game has come on this year, so he's doing things that he wasn't doing before, which should be getting him more of a notice, but he's not. So
100%. I think that you might see that the players give Kane a lot more of a shout than the pundits do, etc. But right, let's go on to Bale. Let's talk about the man, because the king is truly back. And
Player of the year.
Player of the bloody year.
Get him in.
Player of the century.
On the last round, he's been throwing his punches in there. 6 goals in 6 games, isn't it? Or something of that ilk.
Yeah.
I want to talk about, I really enjoyed not just his build-up play, and I think you said the other week, Pete, how he's just spraying. That cross-field ping that he's playing to Reguilon so often is perfect. It's so good. Like power, technique, exactly on its mark. I also really enjoyed hearing Reguilon shout, Bale, 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 instead of Gareth. You would think they'd be on first name basis. But, Mr. Bale, Mr. Bale, send it over here, please. But I loved how Bale was building up play and then just ghosting into good areas and poaching and just find himself goals. So let's, give us a little bit of Pete from how you thought his performance was. And then I'd like to talk about Souness's comments, because I think they were a bit intriguing.
He was very, very good. He seems to be, and I think he's speaking how Kane has developed. He's obviously adapted his game, and he knows he's not beating people for fun like he used to. But yeah, I thought it was phenomenal. And also he was there was quite a few times where he tracked back.
Yeah.
He won ball a couple of times, and you just went, that's what Mourinho wants from you. And if you can do it and stay fit. It's interesting, Mourinho's comments afterwards, where it was like, we need him. As soon as he's fatigued, we were in his ear like, do you need to come off, sort of thing, which is weird. Like, I wonder what because I know I don't want to go into Souness's comments too early, but he did compare him to Ronaldo, who is obviously 5-6 years older than him, but he's like an absolute machine, and you feel like Bale should be in that same sort of category. So I wonder if there's something there that's just constantly niggling. Because Ronaldo's been pretty lucky with injuries, to be fair to him. And part of that is because he looks after himself so well. But yeah, I thought it was fantastic, really, really good. That sort of, like you're saying, there was one where he muscled through a couple, and as he was falling, he sprayed Reguilon. And I don't know who it was in the commentary, but you heard one of the players or someone on the bench go, "Love that, Gaz, love that," and it was so good just to see him do it, sort of thing. But yeah, he's got a wonderful left foot. And it's weird because I don't ever remember him. Well, it's not weird because I guess when he was younger, he got the ball and he ran with it. Whereas now he gets the ball and he looks how he can build the play in different ways. And he's got it, man. He's just absolutely got it.
Yeah, he's playmaking from the right wing. He's coming a bit deeper. The fullback in Doherty was getting past him. And by the way, I'd like to give a little mention. I thought that Doherty and Wings were very good. But then I looked on the BBC app where they rate the players. By the way, both subs got like nearly a 10. I imagine people weren't there quick enough or something, but they both nearly got like 9.8. So their sub striker came on, got nearly a 10, and so did Vinicius. And I was like, oh, well done. They're both man of the match, apparently. But I thought Winks and Doherty were very good. Their ratings were extremely low. They were like in the bottom 3 of everyone who played. And I just think it's because people watch them to see mistakes. Like you said, Pete, they're not particularly loved in the fan base at the moment. So people see something, immediately they're on them. I thought Winks in the first half hour was terrific. Breaking lines, passing forward, very progressive, put one over the top to Kane at one point as well. Thought he played very well. Thought Doherty had a very good game. One of the better performances I've seen him play. I'm not saying either of them were perfect, but I thought they were good to decent and still got hammered in their ratings. So I just thought that was quite interesting to see. And I mean, I've seen a lot of tweets like still saying like, get Doherty out of the club off the back of that game. I
saw people blaming him for the goal, Doherty, for not stopping the cross at source.
I don't agree.
Well, it's mental, isn't it? Because it wasn't even like it was his man. It was Mihailovic who put the cross in, which means he drifted out from centre midfield. So Doherty's with his winger and there's someone extra out there, which he then has to go and press instead. So you can't blame him. It's nuts.
No, I totally agree, because I just thought it was a strange one, but seeing that was intriguing just to see that, some people's minds just won't be changed. It doesn't matter what they see on the pitch. They already decided what they want to see, and that's going to happen. And perhaps we do that with players as well, but I just thought that was an intriguing one on the day. Into Souness's comments, I thought it's so strange. He almost made a comment and then went, well, I can either back out or just commit. And it's just doubled down. He just went for it. Because when he was saying, like you said, Pete, about Ronaldo, he should be this. He's a worldie. He should be. I've done this ages ago. And then the host was trying to get him off it, wasn't he? He was like, yeah, but that was before Souness. Graham, why don't we talk about this? What he's just done in this game? You couldn't get him off of it, but he talked about Ronaldo, and I agree. He's athletically, he's a phenomenon. He obviously loves it. He lives it. He breathes it. It's not just luck, like you say. There's a bit of luck to injuries, but there's also conditioning, and Ronaldo's obviously king of that. But Bale's adapted his game similarly to how Ronaldo has, where Ronaldo has made himself a poacher. And I felt like Bale in that game showed that he's done a similar thing. He's now playmaking. He's not looking to sprint all the time, and he's finding himself in the danger area where he can affect the game massively. And I thought that's perfect. So why are you making it a negative when you could easily spin that into a positive off the back of him playing very well? So it's just strange. Like, Wally, what did you make of his comments, and why do you? I don't know what he was trying to achieve particularly.
For me, obviously, I've sort of quite a sports sciencey background. Obviously, what I do with my work and stuff, so I'm dealing with injuries all the time. And Souness showed a blatant like disregard for that whole field of science, really, because Bale is someone who had a lot of injuries, and that has a huge mental impact on people, humans, athletes, anybody. He had a lot when he was younger, like serious ones. He's had a lot in Madrid, and they plagued him all his career, and it will have wreaked havoc with his body. And you nailed it on the head, Pete, with Ronaldo. I can't think of any serious injury that Ronaldo's had that's kept him out for months on end, whereas Gareth Bale's got about 4. And that has a huge impact on how you recover and how the body works and that sort of stuff. So, Bale is absolutely right to listen to his body and do the right thing and adapt his game if he needs to and change things. It was interesting having Michael Richards on there, a player who himself was plagued by injuries and arguably probably lost his career to injuries, really. Can completely sympathise with Bale in terms of what he's done and probably, is envious of the fact that he's been able to at least keep a career going. But he was spot on saying, he was like, what do you mean? Like, injuries destroy you, and that's what they do. You're never the same after an injury. It doesn't matter no matter how good you are at your job. That's the fact of life. So the fact that Bale is still able to do what he does after all his injuries is a phenomenon in its own way. And with Ronaldo, he's a genetic monster, and that will play a big part as why he doesn't get injured. He has great genes, and he's won the lottery. Generally, any athlete has got a genetic advantage over most other people. But speaking of sort of commentary and stuff, I really liked Chris Coleman on the commentary.
Chris Coleman was great.
Fantastic, by the way. I thought he was great. Really insightful, really funny. And when they asked him about man of the match, I loved these little, I can't give it to Bale because, I'd be called, what do they say it would be?
Biased.
I'll be biased. And I was like, that's great. I love little things like that. It just makes you chuckle.
Going back to Souness quickly.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, going back to Souness quickly. The 2 things that I thought were really weird that he said. One was at one point he was like, he shouldn't be saying that sort of thing. He should be saying, I'm going to be fantastic. I'm going to do this, this, and this. What footballer does that, apart from maybe Zlatan and probably Ronaldo? What footballer in an interview after a game when they've just scored 2 is going to go, you ain't seen nothing yet, mate. I'm going to hat-trick this week. I am flying. No one does it. Like, what did he expect to him? And the second thing was he kept trying to spin a narrative of how basically that Bale had a bad attitude and that's why Madrid were trying to get rid of him. He kept going, yeah, but why have Madrid been trying to get rid of him for months and months? Why have they, what you go and ask Zidane, why is he trying to get rid of him? There's no way you can try and say that Bale's got a bad attitude. Like, there's nothing in him. He's not, he just seems, well, from the outside looking in, he seems like the Paul Scholes type who would rather stay out of the limelight than get involved in it. Even in interviews,
Shy, isn't it?
He does like a nervous So he'll be talking and go, no, and then think this, It's a really like almost like a nervous thing, and you can see it in him that he's not comfortable with it. So I don't really know where Souness was going with it, the lunatic.
You could say Roy Keane as well. Do you know what age Roy Keane retired at, by the way? 31. Same age that Bale is now.
That's ridiculous.
You can't be saying stuff like that, having retired at 31. That's embarrassing.
Because like you said, it was interesting that Mika, obviously a more modern player, who's more
modern footballer,
the characters in the game, he's saying that he understands it and it makes sense. And then the 2 older boys, despite Keane retiring at 31, were both like ludicrous. And Souness, to be fair, of a time where, like, you know, if you're injured, you carry on playing. Keen to that extent as well. So I think, yeah, it's a very, like, it's the old school, isn't it, against the new school? And yeah, the old school weren't able to understand or see where the other people were coming from. It was just mute arguments that they just batting onto their heads that they couldn't get past. But yeah, and the other one, Pete, wasn't it, was when he was saying, like, I'm not 21 anymore. And then Souness getting angry about it. but he's not 21 anymore. He's telling the truth. Like, why are you getting so upset about that? It doesn't matter. Like, why these are always the things with this, isn't it, with the old school? But why does it bother you so much? And eventually, we're going to get there, chaps. We'll be doing this still. You know, when we're even older than 31, Pete, and we're bloody upset about that.
Still only 7 people watching.
Exactly, and we'll be moaning about something completely irrelevant that shouldn't be getting angry about at all. But yeah, I think off of that, boys, we'll come away from the Bale debate and we'll move on to the Gaffer. Yeah.
One more thing to say. Sergio Reguilon is a phenomenal left back, and we are very lucky to have him.
And on that note, we thank you.
We thank you.
Right, chaps, I thought we should probably mention the man at the helm, Mr. Mourinho, because I'll admit I'm quite quick to damn him when he does things wrong and he upsets me easily, but we've won through on the bounce. We seem to have found a bit of a style, and it's not the super defensive low block. It is allowing our more creative players to play. You've got to admit, by starting a sort of front four of Sonny, Mora, Bale and Kane, it's immediately saying to the team, we're looking to attack today. We're looking to go and score goals. And playing against these teams like a Burnley, like a Palace, who do defend deep, was very difficult for us last season and has been a bit of a thing for Mourinho's side that they struggled to break them down. So he actually made a comment in the interview, which I'm so fickle, got me on his side very quickly. And I'm back as a big Mourinho fan. Not saying I didn't say I wanted him out. I did say I was struggling with him, but I didn't see why we would sack him. And now I'm just keep him going, and I trust him and I trust the process, because he said he was happy when we conceded. And I completely agreed with that, because they were getting more defensive and you can see the players being negative and getting deeper and getting deeper. And he said, as soon as he conceded, and he said it at them to half time, you've got to go for it now, don't you? You can't try and revert to type. You can't sink into your shells. You've got to get forward and you've got to get the goal. They had no choice. And I think that was so good for us and actually probably hurt Palace's chances, because we were getting more and more negative as that half was going on. They scored. We managed to get in at half time, and then we got to come out rejuvenated. So, yeah, that comment from him I just loved. Where are we standing, Peter? Where do you stand on Mourinho at the moment?
I was very much Mourinho out, if you recall.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it. And that was on the basis of he was playing negative football and he was draining the life out of these players. And he was doing it in a way where you're going, by doing that, you're inviting so much more pressure onto your back line that are not capable of dealing with it, especially if you're going to play Dyer, and who's just been diabolical. He cannot deal with that amount of pressure during a game. Weirdly, I think if Dyer was playing now, he'd be fine. He'd be all right. I still wouldn't have him ahead of the other two, but I think the fact that he's let us attack more, that takes a little bit of pressure off him. But yeah, I couldn't see how he was going to ever change his ways. It's interesting, like we kept saying, like, it can't be the players not doing it. Like, it must be the way Mourinho drills it into them. But yeah, I was very much him out because I couldn't see a way out of it. And this is why football is so fickle, because you've got blinkers on a lot of the time and you can't see a different thing than the present. You can't see past it. And seemingly he's decided that actually we will go more attacking, and like you say, Mora in there does make part of that. And the fact that Bale is playing Son and Kane, and even when he's playing a midfield two, because he could play two destroyers in there, he could play Højbjerg and Sissoko, but he's still playing Ndombele on top of that. He's going with attacking fullbacks in Reguilon and Aurier when they're fit. So he is saying to teams, we're going to attack now. And it makes a massive, massive difference, like you say. And again, football's funny. We could go and lose to Arsenal at the weekend. I don't know who we've got after that, and all of a sudden that dark cloud is back. So, like football, you're only as good as your last result, and he's had 3 positive results in the spin. I mean, you could go back to the Fulham game and say you were very, very lucky to pick up 3 points there, because we did revert to type. We went very defensive after we scored instead of going for it, and got very, very lucky to have that one disallowed. And obviously, the handball rule has since changed because of that. But at the minute, I'm not as negative as I was because we won 3 in a row. But that's because he's made a change, and I couldn't see that at the time. I didn't see how he was going to change his ways or change his style. So, but yeah, it's interesting. He also said that we've scored 100 goals this year.
Yeah.
Which helps because we played 82 more games than everyone else because of the Europa League. But he, I think we're the second team in Europe's big leagues to do it after Bayern Munich. So, you know, is a good point. It's not bad for a defensive side, but yeah, I am not screaming for him to leave as much as I am, as long as he stays like this. If we suddenly go back to, it'd be interesting to see how we do in a big game.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how many of the bigger teams we've got left, to be honest.
Arsenal, Leicester, United.
We've still got United at home, haven't we? That'll be interesting. United at home will be telling.
They're
To see
unbelievable
how
away.
it sets up.
Unbelievable away.
Yeah,
For me, with Mourinho, I think you look at our defence and we've swapped Dyer and Davies for Alderweireld and Reguilon. And therein lies your answer. I said it to you boys, like I said it earlier about how good Reguilon is. I think he is so much better than Ben Davies. He makes our whole team better because he is always there for the overlap, and he's always there chasing back in the defensive third. Like, it's incredible. Like, the boy's got just an absolute engine for forever, and he makes that much of a difference to us. For me, even on the other side with Aurier or Doherty, Reguilon is more important than whoever plays at right back for me. And I think you're right, Pete. If you did put Dyer in there, I still think he would be better than he was purely because of Reguilon. Reguilon digs people out so many times; it's incredible. And I just absolutely love the boy. If you can,
I agree.
But also, I've always hated. I hate Mourinho, and he wasn't your manager. When he's your manager, he just says things that just make you go, "Yeah, all right, I'll give you a bit more time." And like the 100 goal dig was it just proper Mourinho, isn't it? He said, "Not bad for a defensive team." That type of like just little digs in the media that he always just gets in, doesn't he? So fair play.
He even laboured and he said, "I have a naughty smile."
Yeah,
a naughty smile.
He's a very honest bloke, and I think that's actually something to be kind of revered in football. You know, he's very honest with what he says, and you can't always agree with him, but as a player, I don't think you could ask for anything more than that, than someone who's been honest with you. But not for everyone, obviously.
I think it's important as well for like the driving of agendas, and we talk about like Twitter being a cesspit and so on. But the driving of agendas in this is like, oh, when we win, Mourinho, people who love Mourinho are making it an advantage to them. Oh, all the Mourinho haters, where are you now? It doesn't need to be a constant battle. You can not love Mourinho, but still love Tottenham and want Tottenham to win their games. I don't agree with the people who are saying, like, oh, I hope we lose today so Mourinho gets sacked.
Yeah, that's nuts.
You should never think that way. But I also don't agree with the idea of going like, oh, where are you now? And having to go, you cannot agree with his style of football and not love Mourinho and still love your club, and vice versa. So it doesn't need to be a constant battle, right or left. It's the idea we always talk about.
Vice versa. You can not love Mourinho and still love your club, or you can hate your club but love Mourinho.
You can.
Some people do that. You see a lot of United fans, they still talk about Mourinho. It's incredible. Like, they still talk about him, and it's so easy to get extra likes on your tweet. Just sort of shoehorn Mourinho in there somehow, and you get another 100 likes. It's almost guaranteed. Like Sky Sports, everyone does it. It's ridiculous.
Exactly.
We don't get 100 likes.
Chasing the cow.
Well, we should try it, Peter. We should really try it. Ultimate litmus test.
It's just the point that people, again, as we always say, lost the ability to debate, and you just one way or the other. There's nothing wrong with, like, for example, my standpoint or my job in the pod is to be in the middle, and there's nothing wrong with that. Every now and then, all right, you can say, "Don't mind Mourinho, don't mind Spurs," and that's how you can be. But let's move into a nicer thing. And by the way, I love Spurs. Don't mind Mourinho. Tanguy. Lovely little moment from Tanguy. He was so blank. You could barely see it was him. Obviously, he's got his mask on.
You knew it was him, though, didn't you? You knew that was him.
It was blank. Of course, he trained in the sun with a bloody beanie hat on, so you knew it was him. And just putting a blanket on Kane, it was like you've done so well today. you
we must look after you.
There was a few little moments. Ollie, what was the one that you noted that you enjoyed?
The one that I found brilliant was on Instagram. I think they're in like the physio type room doing some massages, whatever they're doing. And Lamella's got a video of him like just dancing around, just doing some sort of dumb thing like that. And then you've seen Ndombele's then like kind of put it on his story of a caption of like, Lamella, you shit guy. Those are crying faces. And that's the content we love. For completely irrational reasons. But it just shows how full circle he's come within our team. Like, it's fantastic.
He also, I watched today because I was off, I'm not working, a little clip of some of the players playing football tennis, and Tanguy was having a good laugh and like jumping under the net and trying to like wrestle with, and I was like, it's good to see him joking around with people. And the last moment I wanted to mention that I noticed that I very much enjoyed was Uncle Roy talking to Harry at the end of the game. Reason being is I'm convinced the conversation went a little bit something like this. I'm convinced he came over to him and he said like, Harry, me and your mum have noticed that you've not been taking corners anymore. And we want to discuss why you're not doing it. Kane and A-bale. Kane. Okay, chaps, let's talk about the next game. And the next game is Dinamo Zagreb. It's Zagreb, that's the team we're playing against. We're not going to do predictions for the Arsenal game, the North London derby, because we're going to do a special episode coming up. We'll probably look to release it Thursday, I reckon. I don't want to promise that because sometimes things go wrong, but we'll try and do it for Thursday. We'll have a bit of a guest on the show, and the guest is a piece of dirt. Absolute scum on the boots. His name's Ryan. He's an Arsenal fan. His opinions are not valid, but we're going to get him on and we're going to speak to him. We're going to see how he does. Pick his brain and have a bit of a special episode for the North London derby. But let's talk about Zagreb. I'll be honest, I don't know that much about the team. I don't know how good they are. I imagine they're going to be a level above the last team we've played and the teams we've been playing in the Europa so far. Predictions and niche predictions are going to be quite difficult because, to be honest, a bit of an unknown entity. Peter, you did mention something that's interesting though. You said they flipped the games, how it's been played.
I think we were away first, weren't we? And we've been moved to home.
Do you know why that's happened? Or
it's to do with the Arsenal game being
Spurs,
which I would understand.
Both can't play home games on the same day.
Which I would understand if there was fans, but it doesn't make any sense with no fans.
I think it's actually like it's almost like a rule. At the start of the season, you have to submit a like sister team or a rival, a local team, and then all the fixtures are based around because every team submits a pair, and so every fixture is created around that fact. So I assume they have to do the same for UEFA. So even though there aren't fans, even with they have to account for that anyway. Maybe I imagine there's some weird ruling in there, but we got very lucky because we could have been in wherever Dinamo Zagreb is, Croatia. For a game, whereas Arsenal are, I don't know where they are. They're away.
That is true, actually. I didn't even think about that.
I've completely forgot. I knew where they were playing, but yeah, it's gone with me. But regardless, they have a longer trip than we would anyway. Which is pretty useful. And you'd also like to, you kind of hope that they don't do so well in that first leg. If we could bury Zagreb in the first leg, we then know that we can play a weakened team per se in the second leg, which I believe is the midweek, isn't it, after the game? Mm-hmm. If they have to be forced into playing a better team, well, then they're going to have, they might have to be a bit careful of how they play against us, which would be intriguing because surely for them, like for us, top four is difficult, but it's possible. We don't have to put all of our eggs into Europa. We can kind of share them out for both the League and Europa League. Whereas I think for Arsenal, they may as well just commit to Europa League because they're not getting.
I think they have done, haven't they, in recent games?
I agree.
When you looked at the team they played against Leicester, you thought, oh, he's gone for the Europa League here. He's not gone for the league. But obviously they got the win, but the team on paper didn't look like it should have.
Yeah.
No, I agree. So let's try and make a bit of a guesstimate. Luka Modric's old club, as you say, Pete. So that's one of the only things now. Ollie, have you got any stats about the club? Any stats at all about Zagreb?
No.
Fair enough. Stats man. He knows everything about anything. But I'll go for my prediction first. So I think it'd be intriguing to see what team Mourinho plays. How much is he thinking about the derby? He obviously knows that means so much to the fans. I think he'll play, as always, a sort of 3/4 strength is what we'll see in this game. And I reckon with us, say we're at home now, we've been flipped and we're the lucky ones to be at home. I reckon we'll come away with a 2-0 win. I think we'll get a clean sheet here. I'm obviously setting this off not knowing Zagreb particularly. We're just going off how I think we're playing. And I think we'll go in a bit more sturdy, get the result, and move on to the North London derby. So I'm going to go 2-0. The niche thing I'll go for is for Vinicius to start. And I think that is niche. Ollie, we'll go to you.
Yeah, same boat. It really depends on the team. I think he said the players give him a day off today, as in Monday. So that's interesting. I think that's not something he's done in the past before Europa League games, so that would be interesting. But I think it would be definitely a 3/4 squad. I do think Kane will start. I think Son will start.
There's your niche out the window.
You don't know.
And I think I'll go. We can't have the same score. We've got something different. I'll go 3-0, and my niche will be Bergwijn will score his first goal of the season.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely see a Lamela start. I think we'll probably see a Sissoko start as well. I'm going to go for 3-1 to Spurs. I think it'll still be a little bit nervy, and we will have to put a half-decent side out in Croatia. And I'm also going to go for a goal scorer. I'm going to predict Moussa Sissoko is going to score a goal.
That's very niche.
And that is niche.
We didn't talk about the last game where I believe I was correct on my niche prediction.
Yeah.
For the Palace game, predicted a Kane screamer.
Yeah, not as good as predicting a brace for Gareth Bale, let's be honest.
They all count, Peter. They all count the same.
They don't. No, they don't, because we agreed we would vote on them.
Only if it was niche or not the points accumulated.
Yeah, no, that's true.
No, I thought we would agree if it was 1, 2, or 3 points worth for the niche.
No. We just if it was too vague or not niche enough.
House ruling. The rules are 1 point for the result, 3 points if it's niche, and you can say if it wasn't niche enough. And I would argue, by the way, that a Kane screamer wasn't niche enough, but we didn't say it at the time, so the points are to you. Good gentleman.
And I'm going to give the points to Ollie because I think Jerry's tone that he just took with me was very rude.
The gentleman would like to put it onto the table that he was not rude. He was passionate. But thank you, chaps. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll see you again in the midweek.
That'll be nice.
We get on old Ryan on him. Don't even give him his name. He's disgusting, that boy. And not just because he's an Arsenal fan, just genuinely is quite disgusting. But we're going to have him on the show. We're going to have a good debate and get a bit of an outlook from their angle and where he thinks perhaps that Arsenal might be able to hurt us. Hopefully, he doesn't come up with anything, and neither does Arteta. But we will see. It's been a pleasure, boys. I thank you for joining us. And everyone who's out there, if you did watch us, please like us, please love us, please subscribe to us. Please pray for us and just be our bloody friends, because we need to get this show going more and more and more and more and more, because it really hurts our self-esteem when it doesn't get views. All the best. And I thank you, chats, for joining us. But thank you very much. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.